Hello there, girls and boys, and welcome back to the Sanctum, the place where I show you all my tricks, will put them off live right in front of you. And tonight we're coming back to Logic Pro 11, and we're gonna be producing a track together. According to everything that we did for the last few hours, we should be live streaming as well simultaneously on Rumble, allegedly. If it's not, well, we know now that we have to address and do better, as the so-called Captain America is trying to convince us to do. And before derailing into something totally outside of what we're going to be doing tonight, we're going to be continuing with the production cycle that we started off last week, on which we're going to be producing a track from start to finish. And I'm going to be most of the time spending, working on sound crafting and developing vibes through the use of plugins. So everything's going to be produced in the box. Aren't you excited? The stunning and brave, and I've got a set from time to time, beautiful.
Hello, guys and boys.
Saying hello to guys.
Of course. Hello guys and boys, how's it going? I'm glad you're back and it's great to have you here as well. And yes, as you can see, I'm very excited.
Yes, full of energy. I can feel the excitement. And well, with that being said, let's get into it. Welcome back, girls and boys, to Logic Pro 11. In front of us, we've got the project that we're gonna be using to keep working with this track. As I stated before, we got several different instances of channel strips. I'm going to be starting off with this one. This is the one that I use to synchronize my Soundburner, which is what I'm going to be wearing in this very moment, which is what we use to, basically speaking, use click track without having to have the click track on. This is actually a metronome that is controlled through MIDI using vibration. How great that is, there.
It's very good. It's actually very good.
Do you like them? Do you have yours?
I don't have mine with me.
Because you're not producing, but I am.
No.
But it's something that I actually use quite often, and I recommend you to get one. And it's something that I use basically on every freaking production that I'm working on. And if you want to know more how to do it and how to use it with your digital orchestration, there is a video already on which I explain to you how to do it. Now, coming back to the song. Let's play from the top, so we can have an idea of what kind of mess we're gonna be getting ourselves into. Here we go, from the top. What do you think?
It's a song.
It's flat.
It's kind of flat, yeah. I have to say that I get the general idea is there. The general idea is there. Is well represented as a starting point.
Yes.
But it's still missing the fun.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It's quite flat, quite stale. There is potential because from a harmonic perspective, it's kind of vibey. It's interesting. It has a charm to it. The issue is that it feels a little bit too bland. There is nothing actually exciting about it. But that's by design, girls and boys. Why? Because the whole point of this exercise is for me to show you some tricks that I often do in order to take a song from this stale, boring, and kind of very, very basic sound to actually something that sounds musical. So let's begin. What do you think is the biggest problem? What do you think is the biggest problem?
Look, I feel that the drums are very...
One thing, we're not mixing.
Yes.
We're not meant to be messing around with the with the interaction between the instruments at that point.
So actually, if you want to fully flesh out what exactly happens at this stage of the process.
Good, good. That's exactly what I wanted you to say, actually, because this is not a mixing session. What we're looking for here, girls and boys, we are gonna try to develop a personality to the track, and by understanding first what kind of emotional connotation the whole thing has for its own. For example, let's analyze the sound of the guitars, okay? First, I'm gonna be soloing the guitars over here. We got these two guys. It's just chords, as you can see here. And they sound like this. We got one for each side of the stereo spectrum. There's nothing going on them. Why is that? Because I record that this is the DI sound. This is the guitar going straight into the interface. There is no amplifier, no pedals, no effects, no nothing whatsoever. So the sound, it's there for us to work with. And I did it like this in purpose, because I want to use the guitars to create an ambience. I'm going to show you now the sound of the pads. We got just one synthesizer. Well, we got two, but this one over here is going to be a work in progress. I'm going to mute it, Mariana. Listen to the pad. What does it sound like, Diego, in your opinion?
What it sounds like. Let me see.
Try to come with something esoteric. It doesn't matter.
Okay, because actually a good chunk of the atmosphere of the song is coming out of that sound.
Right now.
Yes, it is kind of smooth. It is kind of soothing. Do I want to say soothing? It's kind of soothing.
It kind of sounds like Enya.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Which soothing is a good word to describe Enya as well.
Kind of geriatric. Yeah. No, but it sounds a little bit like that kind of 90s style new age music. Get me?
Yeah.
Has a little bit of that vibe. Do you like it? Don't you think it's a little bit cheesy? Could it be a little bit outdated?
It could be a little bit outdated, but I can also see it being put to work.
Okay. I'm asking these questions because we're gonna be using. I ignore the sound of the pad. Let's see what happens if I swap for a different instrument. Right now we're rocking Alchemy, which is a built-in, very powerful, extremely good synthesizer that comes part of Logic Pro 11. Let's just simply play around with different. I'm gonna solo it, and let's see if our perceive the way that we understand the musicality changes just by switching to the different presets that it got inside of this patch. Over here we got a section of performative modules that when you click on any of them, you see that many controls and parameters are changing as soon as I click on any of these regions. And these are regions, not buttons. Why? Look at this. This is basically a pad, okay? So it's a matrix if you wish. And depending on how close you are to each of these different quadrants, you're gonna have a different amount of each of the quadrants. So if I have it here, we're getting a little bit of the 4 of this. If I have it here, it's just the 2 of this. And here is just this guy, okay? Let's listen to it. I'm gonna be morphing and see what happens, because it might be that the way that we understand the sound is gonna change dramatically. Here we go, from the top. Okay, what do you think?
Okay, it's actually quite interesting. The impact that it has on the way the whole thing feels is quite palpable.
Yeah.
Because you went through soothing, then to kind of somber, then to kind of sci-fi,
Kind of sci-fi.
then to
yes.
kind of horror sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of liked when it was a little bit eerie. I think it was around the middle, top middle there.
There is one here, one of the quadrants that is called dark. I like that one. Is this guy? Listen to it again. Kind of cool, right?
Yeah, is the more kind of somber one. I liked, I think, when you mix that guy with a little bit of the eerie. There's one that's kind of twisted a little bit.
Something here. I think it's, well, this one had even an LFO cutting, giving us this kind of tremolo-like sound. Look. That kind of sounds cool.
A sci-fi cycle.
Yes, and we got an even more. This is kind of similar to the chop one, but it has a little bit of a different texture. It's a little bit darker sound. Listen to it.
I like that one.
This is actually a good starting point, I
Yeah.
think. Why am I doing this? I wanted you to see that we're rocking the same patch. We're not doing anything other than playing around with some of the potential changes that we can do to the same sound, and see how much the feel of the instrument changed just by moving and changing a little bit the parameters inside of the plugin itself. This is because I want you to, and why my point is to encourage you to try stuff with the stuff that you already own, because I can assure you that you are you're underusing a lot of the stuff that you have already at your disposal. And the pursuit that most of us are always on, which is always trying to buy the next big piece of gear, is based on the lack of effort on our side. And I'm saying us because I also fall trap for that, on being lazy and not wanting to spend time learning and exploiting everything that a piece of gear we already own has to offer. And again, this is built in. It's very good, it's very powerful, and it's very efficient. So let's play by ear and let's see if we can develop a tone out of this particular sound. I'm gonna keep it like that. Let's bring back the rest of the mix. Let's see how it fits. I barely did the stuff to it, but we got a different tone. Let me explain what I did. I ended up having this gigantic Downton as all F, a super filtering with the stuff controller. Look at that, it's insane. This is a very in-depth synthesizer, totally recommended. And I'm planning, if you are already thinking, on releasing a video in which I give you a good showcase of what this thing is capable of doing, and also some tips and techniques on how to use it. But more on that later. What I briefly did, I simply pushed this filter, the soft filter. I opened it up a little bit more, letting more of the bad sound to go through before being cut out. I brought back a little bit of the brightness of the sound. We liked it darker, yeah, but not that dark, in my opinion, because see how well it integrates now with the drums. What do you think?
I like it because it has an extra kind of moody element to it that fits better within the whole atmosphere of the track.
Yeah, but also I don't know if you realize that I actually did a little bit of automation. I had the cutoff, the point of this filter a little bit quite low at the beginning. And once the obligato happens with the drums, I open it up once the song began, letting the sound of the synth cut better. Let me show you again. Let's record that because I liked it. How to do it? I'm gonna set it back to the point on which I think it works. Let's just confirm. Yeah, I like that one. We're gonna begin this tutorial by using the dark arts known as automation. Look at that! We're gonna go over here. Thank you. Properly timed. We're gonna get here, girls and boys, and we're gonna press on our keyboard the letter A for adventure, and we're gonna right click here and let me see how to do it. Here we're gonna do it by region. This means that our automation is only gonna be applied to this region rather than the entirety of the track. Why? Because that way we can mess around with different tracks and moving them and doing all sorts of different automation independently from the automation. Okay, we did at the beginning, right? Make sense?
Makes sense.
I hope it does. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna just make sure that we got our pad armed for mixing, and I'm gonna select latch, which means that once I'm done with the messing around, my my automation is gonna stay where I left it. It's not gonna come back. Let's see if by having region rather than track, it stays there. Ready? Here we go. It did. It didn't. As expected. Now it does. Good. Now it came back. Look, and you'll see this. You can see this little line. I'm gonna zoom in. You see this orange line. It is representing the motion that I did, but as I expected, yes, it did it only in the region. So that means that I have to either make sure that all of my regions respect the same automation. It worked. Awesome. Now we got we're adding a little bit of one thing super important. Set it back to read, because that means if we keep it as latch, every time that we have the track playing and we do something, even with the fader, changing the volume of the output of our pad, we're gonna be writing those motions as automation passes. Not good, man. It's gonna be annoying. So we're gonna press A, bringing back the rest of the presentation correctly, and now. What I'm doing with this is adding a little bit of movement, a little bit of interest. We're starting to remove the staleness out of our track because it was super boring sounding. Now we got a little bit of an introduction. Now, let's do something similar here. With our, I'm gonna do this first. Let's tackle the guitars because that's something important. See what happens now that we added a proper introduction to the track, or something that is starting to sound like an introduction. See what happens once the guitar kicks in. And just for you to remember, we are gonna see this automation go nuts. Here we go. It works, but you see that the guitars are a little bit like, don't you think? Like,
Kind of decaffeinated.
decaffeinated. Yeah, they
Yeah.
sound a little bit low T, man. A small member energy. So let's fix it. First, we're gonna. Do we have to crank up the volume? No, because we have to apply an amplifier. So let's do it. I'm gonna load. We're gonna be working with this guitar first. I'm gonna center it for now, and we're gonna solo it. Why? Because that way we can actually analyze the sound of this guitar in context. That's why what I want to do this. So let's do it. I'm gonna insert an amplifier here, a recreation. I'm gonna be using Tonix. Why? Because I want to use one of my own profiles. Here is Tonix. For those of you who don't know what Tonix is a badass system that allows you to take captures or capture the sound of your amplifier at any given position in time, the way it was sounding at that very point, and you can recreate the sound of it by creating a capture, a profile of it that can be loaded inside of Tonix, the app, or even better, you can use it live using the Tonix pedal that I have somewhere there, and it's very good. And the tone that I want to use, let's see. I think I'm going to be using one of my profiles that I did using my Fender Bassman. Where is it? Clearing platform. Here is this guy, which by the way you can download for free because these are available on tone.net. And a clean pedal platform is the name. Now let's see how it sounds like. With it, without, and then with it. Boring. With it. Not that big of a difference, but we added a little bit of color. The thing is this guy has no cabinet. It's just the amp. That's why we don't have that big of a jump. Let's insert the amp. I'm gonna be using the built-in Tonix BIR. And let me check. We're gonna be using 2x12 blue. And let's see. Let's keep playing with it. Cool, right?
Really cool. The sound already feels considerably more textured and colorful.
It's colorful.
Yeah.
But let's spice it up a little bit. I think I'm gonna use. Let's do this. Tonix has a built-in set of tools. For example, it has a very good compressor, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn it on. Compressor on. But we're gonna put it pre, which means it's gonna act as a compressor pedal hitting the front end of the amp. And we're gonna try to control a little bit the tech so we can get a much more even sound. Let's see. That was beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So good. Okay, we're starting to get somewhere.
I have a quick question to
Go.
make. Because you would usually associate a compressor as a mixing tool. Of course it's not. It can be used in many different applications. But would you have a different approach to using a compressor in the context of a production than using a compressor in the context of a mix?
Of course, because when you are, let's say that we're recording, and we want to record, I don't know, like a drum kit. If we apply a stereo bus compressor to the sound of our indirect microphones, we could develop a trashy tone that would enhance the performance. And since it's gonna be tracked through it, we can develop the tone and the vibe. You don't do it, or you don't use those, necessarily speaking, while tracking to develop precision. You use it to create a texture. Get me? But you can also use it, and that's something that happens more often with drums than it does with other instruments. use compressors to control, EQs in particular, to control certain fluctuations that happens in between the microphones. For example, you can have a resonance point that could be annoying whenever a certain tone is hit, and it bleeds into the snare microphone. You get me? Or for example, you can remove certain honkiness out of a tone that is a little bit, sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
It could even be the room. And you can control that with the use of EQs. You can actually use them for a more surgical approach. But for example, here a compressor pedal, I have one on my board. I always have it on. It's one of my pedals that never is turned off. Why? Because I use it to add a little bit of extend a little bit the release of my of the sustain of my guitar, and also give me a little bit of control over the attack that I have, because I have very bad technique, so I hit the guitar way too hard. So it helps. So get me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're gonna be using an EQ, but I will use this EQ as well as if I were working with an EQ pedal. Why? Because that way we're gonna remove certain stuff that of the guitar that I don't like, necessarily speaking, in relationship to the amplifier. I'm gonna get to the EQ, but we're gonna make sure that it's set to pre. Now it's hitting the front end rather than being at the back end. And let's see, I'm gonna add a little bit of chime. I'm gonna increase the treble, and look at that, you can even control it here. But going for the advanced functions allows you to set stuff that it's not here on the panel. For example, we can select the frequency that we want to tag. And since I want a little bit of chime, let's hit 2000 something. Let's see. Wow, right?
I can gain quite a lot of clarity.
Yeah, but we can get it even cleaner. I'm gonna be hitting maybe some of the bass, the low frequencies, but I'm gonna try to hit the high mid, the higher spectrum of the low end. I set my frequency band to hit the 400. Let's see, I'm gonna just reduce a little bit. Sounds cleaner, but there is a little bit of a resonance point on the mid-range. I don't know if you can hear it.
Kind of a tiny honkiness.
A honkiness. We're gonna be using the mids to attack it. My guesstimate is that it's somewhere here 400 to 700. So let's cut that out, and I'm gonna have a broad enough, because I'm gonna be gentle. I'm gonna be opening up the Q, which is how many frequencies are gonna be affected by this shelving equalizer. And I'm gonna be cutting to taste. I'm gonna just start off by removing probably 0.5. Love it. I simply pushed a little bit the presence, which is the higher end of the guitar tone, and I cut very little, 3.2 out of 5, at 4.5 hertz, 450. Very good, liked it. Okay, we got this going. Now, let's try something. A little bit of modulation, because it's a little bit boring still, it's a little bit flat. So let's add some chorus. We can go for the built-in, but you know what? Let's try something crazier. Introducing Tricera chorus. We're gonna go for our modulation, effects modulation, or you can even try cluster flux.
Such a good name.
It's such a good name. This is a good question. Should we go mono or stereo? I'm gonna go mono. No. You're gonna say. Let's go stereo for this bad boy, and you'll see what we do to the other guy. out of the box. So good, right?
It's such a good effect.
It's such a great effect. It's a little bit too much. Let's back it off a little bit. Awesome. Let me explain what happened. This is where somebody said tri-chorus. Here's the name, tri-star chorus, got it? It's even tight. Okay, but look, this is a very badass effect. Let me show you, can show them the controls, please. A tri-chorus I'm trying to explain what it does. Imagine three chorus pedals at the same time. Okay? As crazy as that sounds. It's kind of like that. We control the amount of effect applied to the signal with the mix control over here, but it doesn't stop there. Right now we're using the chorus effect. It sounds like this. Very cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
More on this later. The rate, of course, as a chorus works, there is an LFO, a low frequency oscillator, that creates this oscillation between the. Let me explain. In super stupidly simple terms, a chorus, basically speaking, gets the signal, the dry signal, non-affected signal, gets into the circuit and duplicates it. And then, through the use of an LFO, low frequency oscillator, begins to add a little bit of a modulation to that copy of the sound. When you control, what you do with your control knob, you are blending the sound, the original signal with no effect whatsoever, with the one totally affected by the oscillation that is taking place inside of the pedal. The mix between the dry signal and the affected signal is what creates this thing, and it's great to create to expand the stereo feel, the perceived stereo feel of any given sound inside of the stereo field. That was tough, but did that make sense?
It does make sense.
Good.
Yes.
Coming back to the controls, the rate controls how fast the oscillation takes place, which means how much of the how fast those changes in modulation takes place. The depth affects how much that oscillation is gonna actually affect. Rate tells the chorus how often that modulation has to happen. Depth tells the modulation how much it has to modulate. And in this case, since we are working with tri-star chorus, we can control the depth of the sound coming out of the left side, the right side, and the phantom center. That's why it's so cool. You can create very, very interesting sounding effects. With delay, we'll of course add in a little bit of a few milliseconds before the modulation takes place once the signal comes in, to add a little bit of control. The tune mix is how much we're affecting the detuning on each of the sides, and how much we're bringing it back to the sound of our mix. Envelope is one of my favorite features that is quite common on event-type products. This is an envelope that reacts to the performance. If the signal is, you can set it to allow the effect to kick in when the signal is louder or quieter. And if you set it to react only when it's quieter, as soon as you start to play harder, the effect it's taken out of the equation. And if you set it the other way around, you play harder, and as soon as you let's say that you hold the note and you hit it hard, right? That's when the effect starts to come in, and it gradually comes in based on the loudness of the signal.
That can be quite cool.
Super cool, man. It's super cool. It's super expressive, and I allowed this to happen. I like what we're dealing with this, and tone, of course, and the rate, of course, is how fast that envelope is gonna affect the rest of the circuitry. Tone is a filter. It's either adding shine or removing shine, because choruses tends to darken the signal. That's normal. That's part of what a chorus does, and very intelligent of them having this there. Now, let's play around with the effect itself, because you got chorus. We are 36, but we can go to vibrato and also to ensemble somewhere. A chorale, sorry. Depends on how you set this guy. Ready? Here we go. That's chorale, chorus, and chorale. Okay. So let's try first chorus and see how much we can affect from 0, which is just the dry signal, and I'm gonna be adding the sound. What do you think?
Honestly, I was thinking that when you push too hard, it will be too much. But as you have it quite pushed, I liked it.
It's because I am working with a very conservative set of controls. See what happens if I do this. So it's almost like a rotary.
Yeah, kind
Sounds
of.
very good, right?
Yeah, it's cool, quite cool.
But I think it's a little bit too much, so I'm gonna back off the rate. Nice, right? Let's try chorale. Which one do you prefer? If you say chorus, you're dumb. No, in this
Just
case,
saying.
no, in this case, I prefer chorale. Being frank, because it's a little bit
Yeah.
more.
It has more personality to it.
Yeah, it's working better because the chorus was great. And one thing, see what happens with this button. Swirl. You heard it? You switch a little bit. You play a little bit with the stereo field. It's a very cool effect.
Quick question again.
Go.
Regarding the use of effects, because this is the kind of stuff you can always be throwing more effects, and effects are cool. By nature, you're gonna gravitate towards adding more, because making the sound, well, you'll be making the sound a little bit more unique. It's gonna be adding a little bit more personality. What kind of mechanics or kind of mentality can you use to know how much is too much when it comes to the use of effects?
Great question. The way to know if is by bringing the rest of the mix back and see if it's not getting in the way. That's the first thing that I will do. So let's try it. I'm gonna unsolo this guy. I'm gonna mute the other guy for now. Okay, the other guitar, because it's dry. We haven't done anything to it. Let's see if this new effect it's providing some form of I liked it, but I think it's a little bit too much.
I think it became more apparent now, closer to the end of the track, where the guitar goes.
Yes, it felt I could hear the effect.
Yeah.
That's a sign on which when you know that you are a little bit going overboard. So I still like it, but again, is what happens when guitar players are developing sounds by their own. They often, and that happens to the best of us, you often forget that you are meant to be playing alongside a band, allegedly. And that means that sometimes you might be pushing a little bit too much the low end, or adding way too much or too many effects, cluttering the mix. That could potentially clutter the mix once the rest of the instrumentation is brought back into action. So a good rule of thumb is always considering that you don't add, if you feel that it's way too notorious for you, that the effect is very clear for the people, or for you to hear it, to listen to it, it's already too much. So back it down. The effect is correct, but it's a little bit too much. That's it. Let's see, now that I backed off. Now it feels better, right? Because Theo was pointing at that particular part of the song where we got this kind of nice little harmony. This one. As it is, it sounds good. You can even push it a bit more as we had it before. Look. But you start to feel that we're losing a little bit of the detail because we're getting more of the effect than the dry sound.
Mm-hmm.
So the detail of each of the notes is starting to get muddy due to the oscillation taking place. So I will back it off, and I will even back it off a little bit more. Nice.
Yep.
Like it. Now, we need reverb. Let's add reverb. I'm gonna go here and we're gonna go to my reverb folder. Which one to use? Because we can go nuts. This is the moment in which we can use the more esoteric reverbs. There is one that let me try to remember. Which one is it? Because I haven't used it. Oh, what's the
You
name
know
of
the
that?
thing.
Give me a break. Give me a break. I know you know the thing. Which one is it? No. Give me a break. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Please entertain.
Bruh.
Entertain. Well, do it
Okay,
better
so
than
look-
Gladiator too, man.
Look, let me take the opportunity to mention that there's a reason why we do this live, girls and boys, which is being able to answer to your questions and interact with you real time. So if you're watching this live and you have any questions, any comments to offer, please let us know in the comment section, because the reason why we are here is to be able to address those. So don't be shy. And how far are you into finding that guy?
We're gonna
Should I
use,
tell a joke?
we're gonna be using a different one.
Okay.
Not the one that I wanted,
I think
but
for-
the one that we deserve. So
I think for this kind of situations I might memorize some jokes.
yeah, you should, because it happens. Introducing a new plugin.
Okay.
This is Ripple by the fine people that process audio. This is not a reverb, this is a delay. Out of the box.
You're playing the old switcheroo.
The
on
old
us.
switcheroo, yes. Out of the box. Let's see what it does. Because this first time ever I use it.
Pretty cool.
Very good.
Pretty cool.
Very good. Okay, let's see what this bad boy has to offer. Damn. Okay. Let's see. We got a filter. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Do you want to share it with the class?
Yes, but I'm trying thinking in a second. Look, it's the first time I use it, but it's not necessarily the first time I see it. I already read the manual, but like a week ago. So if I do something stupid, it's on me. It's not on you. Okay? But let me give you a quick, super brief introduction to the plugin. We got here the ripple effect, which is the amount of repetitions that is the feedback, basically speaking, the feedback engine. We can program it and create a goddamn pattern if we wish to. We won't right now. For now, we might.
Okay, but is that can you use that to reduce the volume of the
Yes.
of the repetitions?
You can
Okay.
look, but you can actually change them.
Okay.
Look, you can even give the middle finger. Yeah, no, it's actually like that. Yes.
Yes.
And look, you can even create a curvature to it to make it a little bit less obvious. Let's see. Once again. How about that?
Like it.
Very good, right?
Yeah.
Right now we're rocking the tape emulation delay. Look at that, I even delayed my voice.
You should make a point, of
just to
course.
make a point, yeah. No, we're using that in particular. Why? Tape delay, when compared to digital delay, it's darker. Each repetition becomes darker as time goes on, and removing a little bit of the top end, and also they tend to degrade, creating a much lo-fi and interesting sound to them. And that's why I'm working with this one. Now, I think we're getting a little bit too much of the effect, so I'm gonna lower it. Oh,
that was freaking good.
Freaking good, right?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to say the same as you, but obviously, right? That was excellent. I'm gonna make the feedback a little bit longer. Let's see. Chef kiss.
No, here we use mind blown.
Yeah, that was good, right? That was. Let's see in context, man.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Badass. But wait, there's more. This section over here, the one that I lost my stuff when I looked at it, this is a rack area. And it's not rack in the sense of Scarlett Johansson. Thank you. That's a rack. Was a joke, don't get mad at me. No, look. And in bad taste, by the way. But I apologize. No, look. Now, this is actually a rack on which you can insert extra effects, such as the one that comes built in. It's a filter that I think I will, of course, use with grace, because I want to even make darker the sound of my repetitions. Let's see. How about that? Very good, right?
Yeah, and it's
Now-
making the repetitions pop a little bit less.
A little bit less, exactly, because that's the point. Now, let's play with this breath. But why is it off? Now it's on. Let's see. We're gonna increase this stir width. That was good. This is adding a little bit of modulation to the repetitions taking place on the sides, and that discrepancy between the time for each of both of those repetitions to go through creates and enhances the perceived stereo presence on the stereo field of the effect. Again, a mouthful, but does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Hopefully, because yeah.
It makes it feel wider.
Yeah, basically speaking, it makes it feel wider. Add group, let's see. It's adding a little bit of not syncopated. It's a little bit of
There's some movement.
movement. Yeah, it added a little bit of what's the name?
You know the thing.
When you are programming drums, Theo, remember?
Swing.
Which?
Swing.
Yeah, swing. Thank you. It's swing. Good. Ping pong, of course, is gonna have the effect on the sides. Would we need it? Don't know, because I want to create this kind of a bed for the sound of my guitar. So I'm gonna keep it, but just for sake of conversation, let's see. I like it. It would be awesome, but it's distracting. I don't know if you could hear it,
Yeah, I can hear it.
and it
yeah.
was a little bit distracting. Don't you think? It's a little bit too much.
No, it's a cool effect,
But
but
it's not suited for this.
Yeah, I can see it working quite well on a different occasion.
Yes. Now let's play around with this guy over here. The fantastic thing about the rack. We are rocking right now the filter, but look at this. We can apply reverb, or ensemble chorus, or flanger, or phaser, or
To
a
the delays?
pitch to the delays.
That's okay.
Freaking awesome, right?
Yeah, let's see.
Hang on, let me see. What's that loop? What's loop? Let me see. Slide it to apply effects in the delay loop. Ooh. Or post delay. We can have it affecting the entire signal or
Just the delay.
just delay.
Okay.
We're affecting the delay. Let's, since we already have chorus, I think it's going to be a little bit too much, but we can add a little bit of phaser. Look at that, it's even the colors of a phaser. The MXR. Let's see. Nice.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, let's add reverb. Now we're at it. We're gonna go for Hall because Bech. How about that?
Okay, that's quite good.
Freaking good, right?
Yeah, and look, you mentioned that you wanted to have this guitar tone kind of acting as a bed, and I think the addition of the reverb did quite a lot when it came to that.
That was, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you can see also that I'm using delay and reverb at the same time. And you saw that even the delay itself wasn't doing the thing. I wanted to create like extension, like an aura, if you wish, a halo, if you're doing the... I was the name of this great guitar player. Oh, that guy. I will come back to you, I don't remember. Yeah, I'm thinking of many other guitar players, but it's not... It's
Look, I'm thinking that even pushing the reverb...
Thank you.
Yeah, well, just ignoring you. Pushing the reverb a little bit further doesn't... Well, do you think it would be too much? Because I love what it's doing. Maybe more
The
could
thing is
still...
that you haven't seen what I've seen.
What
No,
have you seen?
There is still another guitar that we haven't touched.
Okay.
And we're gonna be... Let's keep going because we still have some time. Let's work on the other guitar. Let's... since it's the same take, it's the same guitar sound, I'm gonna copy the same tonics, but I'm not that lazy. I'm gonna remove... I'm not gonna copy the what's the name of that guy? The chorus. We're not gonna go stereo in this guy, and I'm gonna work with my cabinet sound. I'm gonna create a loop over here, and we're gonna be working with both at the same time. Let's rock and roll. I'm gonna now push the other guitar to the left. We're gonna bring back the other guy, solo them, and let's add the other guitar into the mix. We got some form of problem here. Right now we got both guitars working together. One of them is stereo, so I'm not gonna go that hard pan to the left, and also I'm not gonna go that hard pan to the right on the other guy. Let's see how it sounds like. Better, right?
Yeah.
The problem is this. See what happens when it hits this section. The one with their pay you. I think it would be better if that section, the ding ding ding, has no effects on, or at least not chorus. We can do it by simply automating and turning off the chorus, but that would be kind of dumb. Why? Because we can simply just put the chorus on their guitar. Let's see. Now it's more defined, right?
Yep.
Let's see if it works with the rest. I'm gonna move the badass ripple effect to the other guitar. Let's see. But now I feel like this guitar with no effects feels a little bit too in the nose, a little bit too dry. So let's fix it. Let's try the cluster flux.
Always brings a smile to your face.
I love that. Cluster flux, that's the name actually. Keeping it classy. Here it is. This is such a weird ass effect, but it's good. Could you hear the harmonics?
Mm-hmm. Let me hear again, on and off.
Yeah. Better, right?
Yeah, it's way richer.
Richer is the term. Now, let's add reverb afterwards. Reverb. Damn it, entertain. I want to use that, but I don't remember the name.
Well, so...
Here it is, got it.
Okay, that was quick, look at that.
It's because the name is weird. It's Fusion Flare. Fuchsia, just like you heard, Fuchsia. The hell is this? This is a pitch. Echo Blaster. And it looks
Mega
like
blockbuster.
Mega blockbuster hit movie. Don't know what it does. It has fuzz. It has pitch. Has delay. Yes. Let's see. Yes. I'm scared.
Yeah, it's getting into a very trippy territory.
Yeah. So no, this is not the time. Let's try something different. You know what could be good? We need reverb anyway. So let's go for reverb. Let's try something mangled verb, another eventide pedal. What is this? Is reverb and then distortion.
On that order?
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Badass. Let's push it.
Like it.
And it's also enhancing the harmonics that we're getting out of the cluster flux.
Yeah.
Such a great name. Moog. Oh, such a great company. Love it. Let's see how it fares now with the rest of the mess. What do you think?
Actually, from where we started to where we're at right now, I already feel that the song gained quite a lot of personality. The whole thing with the
Cluster flux?
no, this guy at the end actually was quite remarkable. The what's the name of the mango verb?
Mangle verb.
But I think, if I have to pick one effect that was the most impactful, let me see. The chorus. The thing is that the chorus became part of the personality of the track,
Yes, that's why I began with that one.
and I think that's probably the one that had the biggest impact. Of course, it was the sum of everything, but I think that the chorus is quite important now as an aesthetic of the song.
I would say that Ripple, the delay, that thing's amazing, man.
That thing was surprisingly cool.
Very, very good. It's amazing. It's a very, very well crafted plugin. Not surprised at all because Pure Mix has plenty of what's the name? It's not Pure Mix. It's a Process Audio. Process Audio. Those guys are it's Decibel, man. It's the people behind Decibel.
Okay.
And the one they like. What's the name of the one? The Distortion.
The one that the Devil Lock? No, that's Sound Toys, isn't
That
it?
Sound Toys. Now this guy, the one that has this similar filter.
Oh yeah. I know. I remember which one it is. I don't know how it's called.
Let me see. Just to clarify, 'cause some of you might ask later.
I know exactly which one you're talking about, but I don't know the name.
Sugar. Yes. Yeah, exactly. That surprised me a lot because it can go to places, but also you saw how gentle the approach to it was. One thing I want to mention. At the end, I pushed a little bit more the decay of the reverbs on both on both signal pads for my guitars. I did it because I wanted to add a little bit more of the rest of the ambience. But here's the deal, girls and boys. I stopped myself from pushing it that hard or too hard because that's the job of the mix. Once we reach a mixing stage, that's when we can add a little bit more ambience using those reverbs, because part of the ambience that feels that is missing is coming from the drums that we will be addressing next week, because they are super dry sounding. Let me show you. There is it's the Humble Logic drummer has no reverb on it, so it sounds. Sounds like samples, right?
Yeah.
That's why it feels a little bit too dry and too boring, and that's why I felt the need to cover that space using other instruments. The thing is that if I overdo the guitars with effects, once I hit the mixing stage, I will be struggling with controlling those effects once I start to add the rest of the overall effects, the ones that I will be applying to the rest to the entirety of the mix, not exclusively to the guitars, and that could be problematic. So that's why you have to be mindful of how far you should push your effects. That's why I'm doing this with you in this series of videos for Summers. We're gonna be doing that. We're gonna be rocking a badass plugin next week, which will turn the sound of our drums from this boring and sterile into something real life, like if they were recorded in a particular city, in a sound city. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. So thank you, girls and boys, for joining. Thank you for watching. And if you like for this kind of content and keeping the lights on this dude's organization, the best way to do it is by listening to music on Apple Music or Spotify. Also by following us on Instagram and X, because that's the best way for you to get in touch with us in a much more personal basis. Now, girls and boys, as every single time we meet you, and we meet you, we gotta remind you that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that we will see you when we see you.